Recently, there's been a lot of stats controversy in the Counter-Strike world. HLTV dropped rating 3.0, and it got a lot of confused responses, people not really understanding what it was doing. Now, initially, I think when the numbers come out and on the surface, the aggregate, it looks about the same. You know, the overall ratings for the year don't shift that much. So some players come down, some players come up, but a 0.03 difference isn't that big a change. But on a map-by-map basis, people are seemingly not getting what's going on. Players with good stats seem to be going lower down on the scoreboard than they should, and other times this round swing factor is just throwing everyone off. We had a classic example of that yesterday when Game Legion played Vitality on Train. Kursy ended up at the bottom of the scoreboard for his team despite a 20 and 19 scoreline, something that would be considered fairly solid in prior years or prior times. You probably wouldn't expect that guy to be bottom, especially not with other players on the team going 12 and 16 or other inferior scorelines just on the surface. This really perplexed Scrawny and Launders on the broadcast during map 2. I was listening, they're talking about how they don't get what's going on. They thought he was getting frags left, right and center. I believe at one point the quote was, "Oh yeah, without Kursy, this game would have been so one-sided, so lopsided." Well, let's find out if that was true. Let's go take a look at his kills, his deaths, see how impactful those kills were, see how problematic those deaths were, and see if we agree with the stats assessment of what's happened, and maybe we can figure out if there is something a bit off in the weighting of different kills and deaths in rating 3.0. We begin on the T side of this map, and the T side actually, if you look at the numbers, isn't too extreme. I think he goes 10 and 11, a minus 0.9% round swing. He's like third on the team. The real problem comes on the CT side, I think, in terms of the big difference between what we saw in the KDs and what rating 3.0 put out. Now, impactful kills are going to be openers, you know, those sort of kills that really put the round in a team's favor, or kills rather that recover rounds. Let's see if you can get any of those done. Here, trading PR, looking towards Pop Dog, not taking a fight as they back off. Things that are going to punish you are taking, obviously, opening deaths. Taking deaths in advantageous situations, like 4v3s. Taking a death there will be a problem. Well, 2 players go down. This rough is hard to recover. That's one trade. Okay, a double trade. Hard to assess. Well, we just saw hard to assess because, yes, we saw the round goes massively in the CT's favor initially with those 2 kills. Then he brings it back to even. So he gets a massive round swing in his favor there. The death then in the 3-on-3, there's a good chance that actually gets him punished. Fairly or otherwise, there's a good chance that gets him punished. We'll have to see here. The economic factor now will start playing a role, let's say. He's got a deagle, no armor. That's a very low investment. The CT side have weapons. A kill here with the deagle would be huge. It'll do a lot for his round swing positively. And in terms of the eco-adjusted numbers as well, that'll have a positive impact. But at the same time, he could also die pretty cheaply. The round is already supposed to be won by the CT side. They probably have something close to a 90% win probability coming into the round when the round starts. Just off the economy, just off the investments. Taking a death can't really do a whole lot to your rating, to your round swing. A kill would have been nice, but nothing found. Alright, we're now into the guns. This is now a pretty even situation. We can call this a full buy v full buy. The 2 MP9 players, when they get kills with their MP9s, will get increased reward. But generally, this is roughly an equal situation that on a buy round, T-side train probably have about a 40% round win percentage, round win chance, I guess initially. Res going down immediately puts you down to like 20%. These are sort of factors you have to keep track of when deciding how impactful kills and deaths are. Here playing alongside Towson. Okay, it does get 1 trade. That's a trade kill. It doesn't actually improve the round swing that dramatically though. They're still down a man, and it's a trade, so some of the credit for that kill will go to the player who died as well. So overall, pretty low impact kill. Down he goes to end the round. Not a particularly impactful death. But we saw there an example of a man who got a kill. He put up a stat, but it's not actually going to reward him with a whole lot. It's not a very impactful kill. We are going to try and make this a little faster. Yeah, everyone's down. At this point, the round is lost. His death will be relatively meaningless. Yeah, no stats found, but also no real punishment there. On the rifles, when you watch Kursy play on this game of Legion, it's honestly not surprising that he gets underrated relative to his pure KD. Because he's not often taking opening fights. He's not really a guy who's the main focus of this attack. Even when he's got his AWP out, he's not. He's just a guy on the T side who's trying to get some trades later in the round. He should be alive in the post plants a lot of the time, and that when he has an AWP or a rifle, it's a decent spot to find him in, but it's not exactly the part of round swing that matters. I think one of the big demos that blew up initially with the rating 3.0 and round swing, all that stuff, was the Mezzi game versus Mongols. Everyone was talking about it, and Nero actually, has confessed that he believes there's a little bit of an over-rating or too much weight given to 1v1 victories. Now, 1v1 is pretty much a coin flip in full buy v full buys, and therefore, winning that gives you a good amount of round swing. That's going to impact your rating a lot, and the player who wins a few 1v1s will get a very strong rating. But it'll remain to see exactly how important that is. Maybe we'll see it. Ooh. That's an unfortunate death, but not a crazy impactful death. If you saw they were already down in a 5v4, he then takes the next death. It's impactful, but it wasn't that crazy. And as far as what we've seen so far, look, Kursy is 3-5. We haven't seen him do a whole lot after that pistol round. The pistol round was really good. Those 2 recovery kills, super impactful. Makes that round winnable again. After Rops gets those 2 opening headshots. But since then, it's been a whole lot of nothing. But anyway, back to the 1v1 topic. Players who are punished for losing 1v1s may be the bigger issue. Because sometimes a 1v1 may be not necessarily always mistracked, but it may be overly punishing to say a player lost it, rather than, maybe in actuality it was some sort of awkward trade. Maybe there was some info in the wrong direction. We might have to adjust it based on those sort of circumstantial factors that are not detectable by the way rating is calculated. But over the course of us seeing 100, 200, 300 1v1s and realizing these shouldn't be always so punishing and every time so rewarding either. There may be some sort of factor in there to just downplay it in future, but obviously that won't come along until rating 3.1. I do think for now, even if that is slightly overtuned, even if it's slightly OP to win a 1v1 or slightly too nerfing to lose a 1v1, I still think overall 3.0 is fantastic. There's a trade, and you might think, oh yeah, economically, he had the massive disadvantage. He had the deagle, killed the guy with a rifle. That is going to be value added to the kill, but considering it's a 1v5 and you got 1 kill, what sort of round swing are you hoping to achieve with that? There's almost none. There's almost none. So that's a kill that, whilst it's nice and has some benefits, it does have economic impact, it's overall not going to help your rating a lot. Now, one approach you can have when trying to assess factors like that... Ooh, we're taking a duel. We're taking an early duel with Kursy. Not able to land it, though. That's a shame. Sorry, just surprisingly interesting all of a sudden, because his demo on the T side is relatively dull. Honestly, the CT side, not that thrilling either. Again, the players you want to be watching if you're watching a Gamer Legion demo are guys like PR, guys like Rez. Hell, Towson actually gets set up for some fights quite a lot of the time. He's interesting. But speaking of PR, he goes down. His rating is an interesting one. You could do a whole video just on how his rating ended up better. Oh, fantastic double kill. This is a huge double kill. That's a huge double kill. Let's just pause. Take us back to right before this goes down. So we've lost our Ivy Lurker in PR. He goes down to Mezzi, taking a heads-up duel. Yeah, he expects himself to hit that shot. I expect him to hit that shot as well. So we're in a 5v4. Our win rate probability right now, let's say like the odds we win this round, just in terms of the numbers, positional stuff. Oh, Positional stuff doesn't matter. That's not going to be factored in to rating. That's not really an option. Can this go away? There we go. I was trying to clear the drawing. For some reason it kept doing other bollocks. But anyway. This first kill here onto Zaiwu. Boom. 4v4. Our round win probability just went from about 20 to probably around 40 to 45. So that's a huge swing in his favor. Then bang, second headshot to Rops. Now you're likely to win this round. That's a 40% swing like that, just in 2 kills. That's the kind of fragging that's impactful. It's now a 4v3. Great position to be in on the T side. Gives away the advantage. Goes looking for an extra fight. Now he's low HP, maybe he has to try and make a play. We can probably be more lenient, give him more clemency as an external observer, not a formula. But on the formula, that's going to be a death that at least ticks back into the favor, or ticks back against all the goodwill he's built up. Now, a traded death in that situation probably would have been fine. It probably wouldn't have changed a whole lot. But it wasn't a traded death. It was a solo play. He tried to try and take some space. Dies. That's going to be a slight punishment on the round swing basis. Apex Rops get opening kills this round. Pretty dire. 5v3. Your odds of winning minuscule. Flashed off his line. And PR ZTR. Oh, this is the clown show round. Okay. So ZTR gets that kill. PR then kills him. Okay. Let's just look at this. Yeah. This round is an entire other clown show. Kursy is just kind of here for everything. And here, quite importantly, he turns back. Doesn't hit the shot. Rops kills Apex, then PR kills Rops. There are multiple team kills in this catastrophe of a round. Kursy, again, is just kind of here. Not even a damage assist to his name. So nothing he's done in this round really has provided any swing. Any positive stat, nothing. Instead, it's been a lot of players doing questionable stuff to their own teammates. Now, there is actually a kill later in the game that is going to be very, very relevant to that point, so I'm not going to hammer it home too much, but I am curious if it is directly factored into 3.0 and how things are calculated. The team kills. Not that I understand, but I believe they do. A team kill is going to be a bit of a punishment. But here we are. 2v2. Flamesy Zaiwu versus PR Kursy. We all know who we think should win. But then again, this was the map pick of Gamer Legion, and map 2 was the map pick of Vitality, and that went way back the other way into the hands of GL, so what we believe should happen is always what happens. That's a missed shot. Would have been a great shot to hit. In a 1v2 here. Could have hit that one as well. But in any case, the death itself, not too impactful. 1v2 is quite hard to win. Maybe about 30% of the time would you be expected to win that round with the bomb down. So the fact that he does lose it, lose him some points, but not a whole lot. I think when you factor in the HPs as well, it's even lesser. Okay, we're looking for some sort of B pop or B exec. Gonna fake a bit of long dog. You can see why, as an individual watching the demo as well, you'd be averse to rallying in favor of this guy getting a super high rating when you're watching those missed shots. Ooh, trade on the entry. Okay, that's a good trade to find. Decently impactful. Reconsiders running away with the bomb and dying. Thank you. Just need a little bit of that sort of thinking injected into my matchmaking teammates' brains. Flash forwards, each other gets a kill. 3v3 right now. Bomb planted. This should be a T-side round. ZTR takes a huge death. And Kursy goes 1 for 1. So the kill is solid. The death is not That's a tough round to judge in terms of what's the overall impact. What was more important, the kill or the death? I would need to have seen a table of probabilities, post-plant probabilities in terms of round win rates, expected round win rates, that is, to really assess, because it's a tough one to judge just point blank. There's an opening frag. Rops challenges, and I assume whiffs like crazy. We'll get to that death in a second. Yeah, pretty disappointing spray if you're Robs. But the opening kill traded. Still something the T side should be happy with. I'm not sure if that's still statistically true. It used to be just an old saying. That's how we used to think about the game. A traded kill to open up the round favors the T side. And they do win it, so maybe there is some truth to that. So maybe that kill outweighs the death. It's an untraded death, but it is a trade kill, so maybe it all adds up perfectly positive for him. But given his overall round swing, it's probably not done too much for him. Back onto the AWP, and this time with PR towards Ivy. Oh, this time. Again, back to Ivy with PR. Looking for this pick, not spotting anyone. Resetting the aim a couple times. Just hoping to catch Mezzi lacking here, or initially to catch Zaiwu looking for a peek in the other direction. Not something I'm envious of, trying to get that kill. PR with the opener, that's a nice kill to find. That's going to do a lot for PR, who, despite having a really poor KD in this game, at this point he's 6 and 8, he doesn't end up with a crazy scoreline overall. He still ends up with a pretty decent rating. And that's simply because he found a lot of impact. The kills he did find were impactful. Okay, 3-on-3, no, 3-on-2, Rez with a very important kill. 3-on-2, you're now favored to win this. The HPs aren't great, and that probably rebalances that sort of skew a bit more, like it pulls it back towards the middle. But this is a winnable round. Okay, missed shot. Oh, Info are not able to frag. Apex with a double kill. That's a big death. Not an easy fight to win, but at the same time, Rating 3.0 isn't watching your POV. It doesn't know how hard the kill was. I was able to see that it's a tough shot. It's still a shot I expect someone to make, but it's, all things considered, pretty difficult. Smoke double flash. Setting up the exec. Zaiwu traded. Should be a winnable round. Towson finding another one. See, that's Towson on a double entry. It's not just the 5-7 kills, Scrawny and Launders. Double entry. Triple kill overall. Huge swing out of Towson in this round. Really impactful. Kursy threw some utility and then walked around in the smokes. He got spammed down a bit. Didn't really achieve a whole lot else. We're going to go quiet, cut info, walk around. Flame Z, 9 HP, 1v2. This is a foregone conclusion, pretty much. This should be a T-side victory on the balance of timing. The bomb's going to go down. 2-man versus 1. The HP disbalance. This should be a Gamer Legion round 1. Now, Flame Z is going to give this a shot. It's the final round of the half. That makes sense. Why wouldn't you? But it's a long shot to even make this happen. Kursy does get this final kill, but just a heads up, it is going to be a low impact kill. It's not going to do a whole lot for him, so he's going to end the half 10-11, top of the scoreboard in damage most likely, unless Towson really did that much damage. But most of his kills will not have netted him a lot. Some kills will have netted him huge amounts. We talked about that. We talked about how the pistol was great. That upper hall's double kill was amazing. But there were some sloppy deaths, just a couple, that cost him. There were some kills that meant absolutely nothing. There was no meat on those bones. Those were, you know, pointless. Not quite, but, you know, approaching pointless. Rez with the opening kill on the second half pistol. ZTR with another one. Kursy gets killed when the round's pretty much won. Again, this is going to be the problem. He can accumulate all these kills, but they're not going to be the most important ones. Rez and ZTR, 2 USB kills to open up the CT pistol. That's going to be what wins it. Kursy chiming in for one of his own. All well and good. We're glad he does. He gets some credit for it. But it's not going to outweigh bad deaths. It's not going to outweigh all the things that could be taken away from him in this half. And this half ends up being far more negative than the first. Those impact kills we saw in the first half ended up doing quite a bit for his overall round swing. He's still negative, but it was negative 0.9. It's a very slight negative sort of rating. This is the half where we see probably the biggest swing. I think he's negative 5.9 or something similar to that for the CT half on train. And again, despite going 10 and 8. Now, despite going 10 and 8, he's negative 5.48%. So we're going to probably see kills that don't add much value, deaths that are disappointing, and possibly some other errors. Who knows? I do like this 3.0 for one specific reason more than 2.1, because I have said it before, on the aggregate, 2.1 still did pretty much the same job. Like, if you look at players' 6 months sort of sample, the numbers were very similar. Like, it wasn't that crazy a difference. Here we have an eco frag, 2 eco frags, 3 eco frags. 3 eco frags after 2 frags have been found. You're going to get sweet fuck all for that. That is almost worthless. Good job. You got your KD number bigger. Look at that, 14 and 11 now. Very impressive. The reality of it, it's not the most important 14. But yes, what I was saying, 3.0 does a fantastic job of valuing a single demo properly, valuing a single map properly. A problem I often had in 2.1 as someone who would have to make, like, I'd often make frag movies or little highlight clips for players, little hype movies for my prospects. Going back through their demos, it was sometimes hard to find a demo that was actually good, that had actual highlights, where a player got 21 kills and was actually notable. Okay, big trade. PR taking the big swing, like the big downswing death there. Kursy holding on to the CT side sort of chances of having that trade happen. But the initial death, always going to be slightly more impactful. That's a good kill. That's bringing you back into contention. So after 3 worthless kills, these 2 are very useful. Or 4 worthless kills, almost. Now, here on the retake, a 3-on-2. ZTR gets a kill. Have to trade him. You have to trade him. Both in terms of me watching the demo, trying to analyze what's going on, you have just completely flubbed your spray. Completely. You should have killed for ops 100 times. But also, let's just look at the situation. We go from 3-on-3 to 3-on-2. It's now your favored to win this. And you can't catch up. You can't make the kill. Rez does win the 1v2. So Rez is going to get a huge payout in terms of round swing for that round. He wins a 1v2. That's going to be very positive for him. One of the kills was a trade. That's going to slightly negate it. But it's still a very impactful round for Rez. And Kursy, it was an impactful round. I still think that round would have counted in his favor. I still, obviously, as an outside observer, count it in his favor, as it were. But that trade is the part that's going to punish him a bit, and that's going to neuter the impact of those 2 kills. This is a favored round. Galil, Deagles, this is half by range. Rez gets traded, Kursy with a team kill. That's a problem. Now this round is an abomination, really. Overall, this round is the thing that should not be. Zaiwu kills Towson as well. At this point, this is pretty much a 50-50 round. Now, because of the HP of the T side, the weaponry of the T side, despite the fact that PR's low and there's only 2 of them, they should still be favored. Well, not favored, but should be roughly in the balance to still win this round. Kursy makes a forward move, gets shot in the side of the head. This is a problem. Killing your teammate and then also going down in the 3-on-3. That's going to be punishing. That's how you end up with negative 5.4 round swing. We're back on the buys, but our buy is now kind of meh. It's meh. It's not great. Slightly more aggressive Ivy lean with Mezzi holding from a distance and little else from the T side actually invested here. We take a look for a fight. Not really getting much presented to us. So full back to electric. I believe covering the back of res, yeah, essentially. Into a decent off angle. But hopefully this is starting to make sense to people. That rating 3.0 is, if you didn't watch the player's POV, 3.0 probably has a better understanding of what that player did in a game than you do. I think that's actually true. At this point, if you didn't watch a player's POV, or you didn't watch the game with intense scrutiny, 3.0 understands with, I think, about 90% accuracy what happened or what impact a player had in the map better than you. Now, you could have watched the game as a casual, like just had it on. And there's a 10% chance you had a better read. Oof, let's just... We'll get to this in a second. I'm just going to finish my point. But overall, if you didn't watch the game, 3.0's assessment of a player's round is going to be better than your understanding of the KD and the damage. And then if you watched a different player on the team's POV, you probably didn't understand what that player was doing. You don't understand what rating they should have been awarded better than 3.0. 3.0 gets it better than you. But here, 4-on-3, advantageous situation. A death, untraded. Not great. That's only a negative. That's a pure negative round. It's not a very high negative number. As you can tell, they weren't already in a winning situation. His death didn't change that. They were 4-on-2 when he dies. So quite likely they win the round anyway. But it's nothing but negative. I've seen a lot of pros really go for that electric box off angle. Just on top of the box. I think Kursy's going to use it later as well. Also, I don't hate it. I do think it's becoming a bit overused. ZTR goes down. Kursy with a trade. A trade kill, but a kill nonetheless. And a trade kill is decent. Some of the credit is going to go to ZTR for being traded. Again, on the CT side, 1-for-1 trade, not great. Towson with a huge double kill, though. From a 4-on-4 to a 4-on-2, thanks to Towson's double kill. And then Kursy takes a death. So his positive in this round wasn't insane. His negative in this round was strongly negative. Taking that duel and dying. Again, we talk about the disbalance, or the difference between what Kursy did in this round, or what Kursy did in this map, and then the guy who ends up on top. Which I believe it was Towson, right, for the entire game. Yes, Towson 15 and 18, 1.08 rating. Those are the kinds of rounds that are going to matter. Those critical double kills when the numbers are even, and you might even be slightly, disfavored. I'm not sure how the 4v4 stats look compared to the 5v5 stats on the CT side of train, but those are huge kills to find from Towson. And again, opening kill, opening double kill. Sure, it's against a half buy, so they're not as important, but he actually got the opening double kill. That took the round from solidly in your favor to pretty much guaranteed. That's important. Kursy is here with him, backing him up. There are T's lingering. We're going to get a fight. I think I spotted something moving as well through that smoke. Oh, playing with our util. 1-for-1. And then Towson goes down as well. I mean, the fact that Towson goes down, not relative to the Kursy rating, but that's a pretty big death. And to only go 1-for-1 in a favored situation, you're not going to see a lot of reward for that. You really aren't. It's a moment where you're favored to win the fights, and you only win one of them. And it's also a moment where you were favoured heavily to win the round anyway, so your kill wouldn't have meant a whole lot, and your death immediately wiped it out. Here we go with the AWP. One of my big question marks is how much of a problem is the economic adjustment in 3.0. How much of a problem is that going to be for AWPers? Because one of my philosophical points when I talk about how ratings, how one number evaluations of a player's performance should work is a player being punished for something they should do? Oh, fucking hell. I don't even know what to say about that round. Well, he had an AWP. But yeah, my point was more generally, will AWPing players get punished for just AWPing? Despite the fact they are getting kills, despite the fact they are still playing well, will it be essentially punishing to use the AWP? But here, let's just give Kursy a chance. Is the smoke... Is there a smoke here? No. What? There is a smoke. Hang on. Oh no, okay. So main is smoked. ZywOo pops it and just taps Kursy down. Now, as an external observer watching the demo, I kind of feel for Kursy. What on earth is he supposed to do about that? What on earth is he supposed to do about that? The T's have not put down a smoke here. The T's have not put down a smoke here. These are both pretty much expected. However, there's a main smoke that gets popped and he gets shot through that gap. What is he meant to do about that? Could he have been aware that the line was open? Maybe. That's a big ask, all things considered. But in terms of rating, he's got an AWP, he's killed by an AK. It's not the first death of the round, but the second. And likely comes with its own hefty impact when it comes to round swing. That was abysmal. As far as the formula is concerned, that's a dreadful round. No kills, straight death, untraded. That's rough. Down in a 5v4. Oh, is this the Towson double kill? This was talked up a lot in the Inferno confusion surrounding Kursy versus Towson in terms of rating. Yeah, Towson got these 5-7 kills. You can't underplay how impactful these two kills are. It's a 5v4, so you're not favoured. The other team has better weapons, so you're even less favoured. You should lose this round. These two kills take you back into contention. A trade kill, very late into the round. Brings it from a 1v3 to a 1v2. Not huge, to be honest, not huge. But it's something. Oh, that's a bigger kill. They lose the 1v1. And so that's the kind of round that we were talking about earlier, with the 1v1s. Because overall there, Kursy gets a double kill. Now his first kill is a trade that makes a round go from unwinnable to probably lost. And the second kill he gets as he comes running in here and takes out, I believe, Apex. That kill takes it from probably lost to a coin flip. And then ZywOo takes him out. And so that coin flip death might be more punishing than we'd like. That's the main concern. That's the main talking point that Nero has hammered home. But how many times has that happened in this demo? Once. The majority of the problems Kursy has faced in terms of getting his rating up, in terms of his rating being reflective of his KD, the main problem has been the kills have not had much value overall. A lot of trades in lost rounds, lost rounds in losing scenarios. Doesn't matter if the round overall is lost. It's about what the scenario is when he gets that trade, what kind of assistance it actually gives the team in terms of winning. A lot of empty trades, some eco-fragging, and a lot of genuinely bad deaths or bad rounds where he only takes negatives. Here in a 1v3, any of these, the first kill of this would be worthless anyway. Doesn't even get that, just goes straight down. Not a brilliant demo. Not a brilliant demo whatsoever. And I think, hopefully you can appreciate, by me coming through it step by step, beat by beat, kill by kill, death by death, why his 20 and 19 was actually pretty mid at best. And when we actually watch a lot of the rounds where he takes those deaths, you can understand why we, as viewers, may consider actually bad deaths, but why rating 3.0 considers them horrific deaths, especially that AWP death where Zawu just one bangs him through a smoke he didn't know existed. It's a bit of a rough death to take, and as an external observer, you don't write that one up. You don't like sit there and go, oh, what a dumbass. Like, that's not the big problem death, but it is for 3.0. That's a huge problem death. In terms of the context, in terms of the weaponry, massive problem. And that was the theme. That was the theme throughout the demo, so I understand entirely why Rating 3.0 hated this demo from Kursy. I get why it really liked what PR did, what Towson did. These guys had huge multi-kills that started from even situations or disadvantaged situations that brought rounds into the favor of Gamer Legion. The fact that Kursy wasn't doing that is the issue. So yeah, hopefully that's helped. If you enjoyed, leave a like, leave a comment on your thoughts on this demo, on this game. Do you think he was unjustly punished for certain things? We have speculated about certain things that could be overtuned. This is widely accepted, agreed upon by even Nero himself. But I still think the general theme of the demo was low impact kills, a few pretty high negative impact deaths. More than just the specific 1v1, more than just that one death. Overall, it was still a very negative game. But all right, if you enjoyed, yeah, I said all that stuff. Sub if you want more content. Remember that members get access to bonus content and the right to vote. And yeah, we'll see you next time.